He was once a consultant with McKinsey's in the US. And then he left his lucrative job and he came back to India to join this madness called retail. He is Pankaj Tibrewal, COO Pantaloons, whom we are going to meet over a cup of cutting chai. Hi Pankaj, namaste.
Hi, namaste.
So that's where it all started, from men's fashion in 1987 to fresh fashion in 2011. What a long journey. So how many stores do we have now?
We have 58 stores now.
Wow.
The 59th one is opening tomorrow.
Wow. And how many more stores by the end of this year? How many more stores in another 5 years?
We plan to open about a store every month. In 3 years, we want to double the number of stores.
And the focus is going to be small towns, big towns?
Both. So if you look at our presence today, we are about 50% in metros, 50% in smaller towns. We'll probably continue the same growth in both the areas.
So what have been the milestones in this journey from 1987?
I haven't been around long enough to give you accurate milestones, but I think the milestones have been setting up the first big Pantaloon store in Gadiahat in 97, I believe, which is about 14 years ago. And then, so that's a big milestone, the first big box fashion retailer in India. Then I would say the next few milestones have been a change of the shopping experience from, let's say, family fashion store to fresh fashion. I think that was another big milestone. And we are at the juncture of another big milestone in terms of the change in customer experience. With the opening of our new design store in Vasant Kunj, that was the 50th store. The last 8 stores have been based on the new design. And the new design is supposed to be very customer experience oriented. So clothes are hanging on the wall to display the looks.
Okay.
The way they are laid out on the tables, it's very experiential. So the customers can see all the features and play with the clothes. It means more work for us in folding, etc. We cannot use the wall space for storage, but for the customer, it's much better.
So then does that mean that the clothes in the Vasant Kunj store will be more highly priced compared to a store over here?
No, the price continues to be the same across the country. Our value proposition is world-class designs, very high quality clothing at value pricing, 20 to 30% cheaper than national brands. So that's our value proposition.
So what constitutes fashion? Who decides what is fashionable? So just tell us a little about this journey on apparel makes, right from the time it's probably selected as material. Then somebody decides it needs to be crafted into a t-shirt or a dress or an outfit, and then it makes its way into a store like ours. Can you tell us a little more about it?
Right. See, fashion, I mean, there are many things that goes into deciding what is fashion. I mean, it's you take a few big bets, and that could be based on how sort of the international fashion is moving. You see how consumers are reacting to what you're offering them. Plus, you hypothesize, next year is going to be about this, right? Plus, it's also not about guessing, it's also about making fashion. It's about sort of taking a big bet, advertising accordingly. So you sort of help usher in that fashion. In terms of what goes on, almost an year before the garment hits the floor, designers are busy working on the designs for each of the brands that we carry. and we have a very strong design team that travel to every important conference in the world.
Okay, wow.
And they basically do designs which are comparable to national or international brands. And then the work starts on sourcing the clothing. We work with the mills to work on sourcing on the textile. Then we work with vendors who we point to these mills to get fabrics at pre-negotiated prices. And then there's a lot of interaction with the design team and the manufacturers to make sure that the clothing are what we want. And then the role of future supply chains to transport these garments to our warehouses and then to the stores. There's a big role that the team plays in terms of figuring out which product will go to which store. So every store has, you have to decide on the assortment for every store, and then goods are dispatched accordingly.
Now I would imagine, let's say a place like Delhi would have a different fashion requirement compared to a store in Bangalore, for instance, or in Chennai. So are those needs also catered to?
Certainly. That's a very important part of being a national retailer, and it's both art and science. The art comes in where, let's say, the buyers know each market very well. That this kind of shirt will do very well in Gujarat, may not do very well in Calcutta. So they have to factor that sort of knowledge, that art part. The other part is science. You know, we can look at historical data, we can see what kinds of merchandise did well. And the science part comes in looking at the previous data, what shirt did better in Gujarat versus Kolkata, and applying that in deciding your assortment for the following season.
I wanted to understand a little more about this customer experience thing that you spoke about, both from the Vasant Kunj store point of view and from Pantaloons overall as a brand. What do you mean by that?
I think we have come a long way in terms of the product in the last 2 years. Our product is of top-notch quality. They are very competitively priced, as I said. Now we want to take the customer experience to another level altogether. So design, as I mentioned, for Vasant Kunj, that's just a part of it. But every aspect, everything we do has to create value for the customer. The product has come a long way in the last 2 years. We have, I think, we now have international quality clothing at prices which are 20 to 30% cheaper than the market. It's the customer experience we want to take to the next level. I talked about the design in Vasant Kunj, which is very customer experience oriented. But we want to be customer first in everything that we do. I'll give you an example. So in marketing, let's say we are putting a signage in a mall. I'm pushing the marketing team to create some value even in that signage. For instance, by giving the direction, Pantaloons on the first floor on the right. So there's at least some value creation for the customer rather than just a signage. So that's an example of pushing everyone to do customer first. It's also is the way we do promotions. We are now trying to understand our customers. We are even asking them what kind of offers they would like, and offering targeted promotions to meet their requirement. It also is, let's say, our loyalty program. We revamped our loyalty program. I think it's the best in the industry. Today you can sign up for our green card without any conditions, no cost, no purchase requirement. And from day one you get some unconditional benefits. Let's say you want to gift a shirt to your brother. We'll ship it free for you to Bangalore, to Hyderabad, wherever. If you park, we'll reimburse parking. If you give your trousers for alteration, we'll drop it home for free. So there are many unconditional benefits right from day one.
And you absorb the cost of
We absorb the
dropping
cost.
Trousers
Exactly.
off, the parking fee, for instance.
Exactly.
Even if you don't own the mall as such, even if you just...
Exactly. Exactly. So customer first in everything we do. Customer experience of utmost importance. We are putting a lot of effort in equipping our sales staff, team members on the floor to create value for the customer.
So I noticed that today, really noticed it.
Right.
They were trying to sell, they understood what I wanted, they were trying to sell that accordingly.
Right. So I think there's some distance you go from trying to sell versus trying to create value for the customer. So there's a little bit more than selling in creating value for the customer. So you're actually answering the customer's question And I would even say that true selling or true customer experience, creating value for the customer is if the product is not right for him or her, persuade her not to buy it. Right.
I noticed that it's probably the first time I'm facing something like this, because usually they're trying to sell, they don't understand what you want, and I was very, very impressed.
So that's there's a new effort I'd like to talk about. It's called Joy Exchange. What we realized is all our customers have lots of used clothes, and they do not know what to do with it. So as a service to the customers and to create some value for the society, we have launched this program where you can bring in your old clothes. Our only promise is we'll find the most appropriate person to give it to and give it in the most appropriate manner, in the most dignified manner. So we have only done it for 1 week now. We have already had people come by and drop close to 2 lakh pieces of clothing. So this is another way to create value for the customer. And then for this, we work with an organization called Gunj. They are probably the best known organization who is working in this area. The founder, Anshu Gupta, is a Ashoka fellow. And his thesis has been, we talk about roti, kapda or makan.
Sure.
Roti and makan, a lot of people think about. Kapda, not many people are thinking about. So he has created this organization which is very impressive. They have an processing center where they look at every product, every clothing, and figure out how best to use it. And they have various programs in villages in terms of distribution, where they are able to give it in the most appropriate manner. If it has to be repaired, cleaned, they'll do it. And they also give it in the most dignified manner. So they also run programs where, you know, if you work for a day, you get clothes for the whole family.
Wow.
So that way people feel very good about earning these clothes rather than being given away. So we have partnered with them, and so far the response has been very, very overwhelming.